Hello folks and welcome along to this week's edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. Not a huge amount happening in the world of general news, I suppose, in the past week, but the fallout from the ransomware attack and the HSE continues. However, as the week moves on, we've become more informed in terms of all this kind of activity, seemingly for a start. It's happening all over the world and has been for quite a while. It's the new warfare, as some people tell us, and billions have been paid out to these criminals that are involved in this sort of fundraising. However, though, question marks now might be pointed at the HSE itself and maybe the government in terms of the lack of investment in protecting the systems, and warnings were issued in 2018 and in 2019 as to the possibility of this happening, and why something wasn't done about it. Housing continues to make news headlines. Again, it appears to be, though, more of an opportunity in the Dáil for a battle between the government parties and the opposition. One move that was made during the week was that those companies, I think they call them Cuckoos funds, that buy large tranches of housing in new developments will be subjected now to 10% stamp duty if they buy more than 10 houses. How this pans out, nobody knows, and anybody who says elsewhere, I don't think is fully telling you the truth. Like the unintended consequences of some of these tax measures and some of these moves are never known until they happen. It would appear, of course, that our good friend Boris has difficulty in the apology world. Yesterday he apologised for the second time, or at least he was under the impression that he did. And for an individual who has made a living out of playing with words, he was a journalist at one stage, he knows full well what a real apology should mean. And to the relatives of the people that were killed back in Ballymurphy, all of nearly 50 years ago, they're not one bit happy. His apology yesterday in the House of Commons was basically an apology, not so much for for the killings, but in the way that the inquiries have been handled since then. So that's a story that's going to keep on giving, if you wish. Did I notice earlier on, maybe tuned into some radio station, that we had parents contacting shows complaining that schools may have suspended their darlings. They're leaving certain students yesterday, or for the past couple of days, for involving themselves in water fights and whatever. Now, I might have to be a little biased about all of this, but I can say from my experience of school managements for a long number of years, the basic objective at all times is the care and welfare of children, talking right throughout the school. And I would have serious question marks about any parent who rushes to a radio station to complain when a school decides to invoke some sort of sanctions about something that has happened in the school. And, it was kind of amusing in one sense that the presenter of one of the particular programmes was asking the parent how the child was after being subject to maybe suspension or what have you over being involved in this kind of thing. All I can say to the shrinking violets, if that's all they're going to come across in life, they need to harden up a little bit. Schools in this country are doing an absolutely marvellous job. And as I said, any parent that rushes to these talk shows generating money and entertainment for the public would seriously want to look at themselves. Rant over. In terms of sport, maybe we have to move on to it quicker than we should. And last weekend was the opening rounds of the Alliance National Football League. I suppose the big talking point was the performance of Kerry, but that's in a higher division of Cork, so we'll leave that for the moment and talk about Cork's non-performance by and large against Kildare in their opening match. It was a pretty dismal display, let's be quite honest about it. And whatever about the hurling, which we'll come to in a minute, the way the Football League is set up this year, this league is seriously competitive. And this is rearing on the bacon slicer from the very, very word go. So Cork, they started okay against Kildare, but after that they were playing second fiddle. Kildare dominated around midfield, which I was really surprised about. I know that Cillian O'Hanlon is going to be a big loss to Cork in that area this year. But I thought as well some of the options in terms of shooting from the forwards left a huge amount to be desired. And my God, when you switched over and watched the Kerry game, and I know that because of we having come from that land that maybe people will be saying, what would you expect from the likes of us? But it was a chalk and cheese event. So anyway, Cork play this weekend. They're back in action, and they travel to Portlaoise to play Laois. Now, Laois were beaten by Clare last weekend, but the bottom line is that if Cork lose to Laois, and please God they won't, they're really looking at the strong possibility of being relegated back down to Division 3, which I didn't tell you is going to be a huge disaster for them. The team will be announced a little bit later on. The hope is that maybe one or two players that weren't able to play last week will, but they'll also be missing players. Like Brian Hurley is going to be out because of injury. So this is a big match for Cork, make no mistake about it. The hurlers, I think, have been doing quite well, since their opening round victory against Waterford and then following up with a draw against Tipperary last weekend. And the narrative around hurling is changing, but to talk about the Cork performance for the moment, it would appear that the fingerprints of Donal O'Grady seems to be, on well stamped on some of the activities that are going on. There's no general talk about that the Cork players are working much harder, that when the opposition are on the sliotar, they're being, there's so much hooking and blocking going on, and a lot of the Cork scores over the past two games have come from turnovers. I know this is a term that's borrowed from some other sport, but hurling is changing, and it's amazing how some pundits, not all may I add, but some of these hurling pundits would really they really try to create the impression that they themselves are operating at a different level to other pundits, and that hurling is such a wonderful game, which it is to a degree, but please don't say that it's better than all the rest, and please don't say that it's not been infiltrated by tactical changes in terms of it's now turned into a possession game. There are no sweepers involved, and some of these people are finding it so slow to accept this, and I know that a lot of people are concerned about the lack of the drop in entertainment value that was associated with some of the hurling matches in the opening round of the Alliance League. Well, this is going to take a while to get used to, but please don't blame it all on the new rule changes. I think that hurling has changed over the past number of years. As I say, when it's turned into a possession game, and when it is a possession game, it's involved, like Cork played this short passing game because they don't have the physique of the likes of Galway or Limerick, and so they have no choice in playing this. Cork, some people are concerned it's turned into a free game. Well, a free-ridden game. Well, it is, and I would imagine that if referees were keeping a closer eye, they'd give more frees, because the amount of throws that are taking place, the hand passes, I don't think, and what would I know, are being executed properly. There's so much throwing on in these matches. So yeah, hurling is changing, but I think Cork hurling is changing as well for the better. I know that, this league is basically a series of challenge matches. They'll beat Westmeath, and the matches after that, then they've a rest for 2 weeks when they play Limerick, and then I think it's Galway after that. But the big test, of course, when they'll play Limerick in a few weeks after in the Munster Championship. So it'll be, I suppose it will be interesting to see how this whole hurling pans out. And you had John Kiley, the Limerick manager, losing the run himself last week. He had to apologise to Galway for, insinuating that they were stimulating injuries and fouls and all that. But, he said that leaving all that aside, that he thought that, and he was trying to kind of blame the rules and the referees, but maybe, some of this started with Limerick, if you wish, how they played the game, that the entertainment value has gone out of it, and that maybe people wouldn't be turning up in their drawers to watch some of these matches. So, yeah, Cork hurlers doing well, but certainly the Cork footballers not. In terms of ladies sports, well, in Camogie, and the information around this is a bit scarce, shall I say, to say the least, but it would appear that the Cork second team, they're the intermediate team, they played Division 2 of the Camogie League. They had a good win last Sunday, as had the senior team. Well, they played this Sunday again against Kerry in Church Road at 2 o'clock. Now, the Kerry Camogie team, all those players play, bar one, I think, with one club in North Kerry. And playing Cork, this, even though Cork's second team, This should be a bit of a mismatch, even though the Kerry, would you believe it, they did beat Galway's second team last weekend. They try obviously and take Camogie seriously in that part of North Cork, but in terms of the spread of the game compared to Cork, there is absolutely no comparison. Ladies football, well, I think it's been a great week for Cork ladies football in terms of the way the game has grown and the publicity that now accrues to it, which is so welcome. And you had the Clonakilty Food Company, which some people would associate with Clonakilty Black Pudding, is a bit more than that now. They've got involved in a huge sponsorship deal with the Cork Ladies Football Association for the next 3 years, and they're going to be sponsoring the under 14, the under 16 and the under 18 teams, as well as the academies, as well as the summer camps. And their logo will be logo will be appearing on the jerseys of the senior team. They call it the sleeve sponsorship. So it's a great boost, I think, for ladies football, when you think how far it has come, and that there are no big companies like Clonakilty Food Company getting involved in sponsoring them, and that will bring other sponsors. And since Lidl got involved in ladies football, I think it has grown the game big time. And the amount of money that Lidl are giving, I don't think is huge, but the way the company works at promoting the game, I think is, far more important. The senior ladies team get back in action this weekend, and tomorrow night they play Tipperary in the opening game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, again a welcome development, and that'll be televised at 7:30 on TG Cahar. The team, there's a few injuries there. Dylan O'Sullivan, Anna Terry are out injured. Emma Spillane from Bantry Blues makes a welcome return to the team at left cornerback, and I notice at midfield as well that Sarah Hayes from Rosscarbery partners Maura O'Callaghan, so changes there. A few new players coming in. So and like the hurling and football, this is going to be a short league, 3 games, and then they're into championship. And for the Cork Camogie and Cork ladies football, the ultimate is the All-Ireland, winning the All-Ireland. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. But well done to the ladies football. Cork ladies football, it's a great week for them. In terms of soccer, well, those of you who addicts of the Premier League, it is coming to an end, and the last series of games take place this Sunday, all taking place at 4:30. Now, the league is over, bar the Champions League spots, and there are 3 teams that are in here with Chelsea, Liverpool and Leicester for that 3rd and 4th spot. United have the other one sorted out, City being the champions. So the big games are, well, there's only one big game if you're a Liverpool fan, or if you're not one, and that's Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Basically, if they beat Crystal Palace, they're going to get that slot. Chelsea play Aston Villa. Aston Villa are at home there, and Leicester City play Spurs. But because Liverpool have a better scoring average, +4 over Leicester, I think they're more or less there. So if you're a non-Liverpool supporter, you're going to become a Crystal Palace supporter for the weekend. That's all you need to know on that. In terms of the championship in England, we're at the playoff stages here, and Swansea, the club of Conor Hourhan, they're in a good position. They play Barnsley at 6:30, I think it's on Saturday, and they have a 1-0 lead from the first game. So I think they're going to get through on that one. And if they do, they'll be playing either Brentford or Bournemouth the following week. And an opportunity, as I said, for Conor Hourhan to win his 3rd promotion. He'd be definitely the most promoted Irishman. In League of Ireland, well, both Cork teams that we've said, well, Cork City, I think, are, after improving, they're unbeaten now in 3 games. They have a big, both Cork City and Cove play on Friday evening, tomorrow evening at 7:45. Cork City welcome Galway United under John Caulfield. And Galway Cork are in, I think, 7th or 8th spot. Cork are in 8th spot, Galway are in 7th spot. So I don't have to tell you, these are crucial matches now at this stage. For Cove Ramblers, it's even more worrying in terms of that they're playing at Athlone away, and Athlone are in 3rd place. An interesting little development earlier on today when it was announced that there's now a commercial arrangement, if you like, between Burnley in the Premier League and Cork City, and Cove, I should say. By the way, both of them wear the same colour jerseys. This will involve players moving in both directions, and I think it's probably a little bit more than that. And we could see some Burnley players going out on loan, coming to Cove, and maybe during the transfer window this weekend or this summer. We could see that happening. So it seems to be positive enough for Cove. They're a good club, well organised, but things not going that well from on the pitch at the moment. For those of you who follow golf, well, the biggest of the 4 majors is on this weekend. It's the PGA, and this is the 103rd edition of it. It's already underway as we speak, and one of the Irishmen, Rory McIlroy, is in action, and Rory has won this event twice in the past. He won it by 8 shots in 2012, won it again in 2014. Padraig Harrington won it back in 2008. He's also taking part, as is Shane Lowry. In terms of the competition itself, as I said, this is the big one. Amateurs don't take part in it. The prize for the winner is almost $2 million, $1.8 million. Not bad for 4 days' work, you would say. And the trophy is the Wanamaker Trophy. And the only trophy I can think of similar dimensions is the Kelleher Shield, which is the trophy that's given to the winners, presented to the winners of the senior Division 1 of the Football League here in Cork. It's out of action at the moment because this year's Football League in Cork is going to be run slightly differently. But anyway, this trophy, if you're interested in these kind of dimensions, the Wanamaker Trophy is about 2.5 feet high or 75 centimetres if you're into the metric. It weighs 27 pounds, 12 kg, and it goes on for the next 4 days. So I'm sure that a lot of people that follow golf and play golf will be tuned into this, and it would be obviously massive if there was an Irish winner. Finally, in rugby, it's Champions Cup weekend, and this takes place in Twickenham on Saturday, and that's at 4:45, and it involves 2 French teams, Toulouse, and of course the team that is coached by Ronan O'Gara, La Rochelle. This La Rochelle team, which have never won it, but they have this team made up of, they've spent a serious amount of money. Don't anybody underestimate. Like some of us might like to believe that this is all Ronan O'Gara's doing. Obviously, he's a huge part in it, but the amount of money that have been spent to them and the size of some of these fellas playing in the forwards, I heard them being referred to as man mountains at some stage. But anyway, so that's just a little brief look back, or brief look forward maybe, back and forward at the sporting from this particular neck of the woods. So again, thanks for your time, and until the next time, take care.